Welcome to Connecting the Community podcast. I am your host, Marge Andre. I will be connecting you to people, organizations, and events that create community. I am creating this podcast in Richmond Hill, an eclectic and very culturally diverse community with lots of trees and streams and interesting people, just up the hill from Toronto. On this podcast, I am talking with Diogo Oliviera. He works for the city of Richmond Hill and is in charge of snow clearing. Welcome, Diogo.
Good, March. Thank you. Thank you for having me here today.
Oh,
Just to kind of elaborate a little bit, I am the manager for water, wastewater, and roads operations here for the city of Richmond Hill. I work out of the operations center at 1200 Elgin Mills, and I've been with the city for approximately 11 years.
okay, thank you very much for that. Uh, do you like driving snowplows, or do you get to drive snowplows now?
So, unfortunately, no, I don't. As a manager, I don't actually operate any of the snow plows, but have a great team dedicated to ensuring that we go out and do a fabulous job operating the plows and making sure the roads are safe for our residents.
Okay, very good. Okay. Uh, a question I hear asked most often about snow removal is like, how much does it need to snow before the snow plows actually come out?
So the plows come out really early on. As soon as some of the snow starts to fall, some ice starts to build up on the roads, the plows are out there salting. So that's their primary objective initially is to get some salt on the road. But the blades come down and actually the snow gets plowed once we have an accumulation of greater than 5 centimeters. So once those 5 centimeters our threshold is taken, the plows start to plow. And obviously, we continue to plow the whole city and make the roads safe and passable. Anything greater than 5 centimeters, I also like to highlight that the city does declare a winter event, which means now on-street parking is prohibited. And that usually takes effect until operations are complete. And that helps us with, cars off the road, help us to have a nice, close, clear, smooth transition of plowing our streets.
Okay, yeah. Very good. Very good information to have. I don't think we think about the whole process. Now, you must do more than just look out the window to see if it's snowing. You don't go out to measure snow. Is there a specific weather report that the city pays attention to?
So the city actually has a dedicated service that provider that gives us some very good information. It's a road network, a road weather information system. It tells us the road temperature, the air temperature. It gives us some live video footage of two locations. One's at High Tech and the other location is up at Old Colony. And staff also have a number of points, close to 32 specific locations where they check the road condition and the sidewalk conditions multiple times of the day. And obviously, we do also look at, what the weather channels are doing, but in combination of everything, it really helps us to define and understand what the weather pattern is going to be for Richmond Hill.
Okay, very good. Thank you. So, is it a citywide call? Like, I believe sometimes the weather at Highway 7 is different than, say, up in Oak Ridges.
Yeah, there is. There's a little bit of a difference. We have an elevation that transcends from the southern part of Richmond Hill to the northern part. When it snows, generally it's right across the whole city, uh, with some maybe additional extra snowfall on in Oak Ridges. But when we go out regardless of whether it's to the south or to the north of Richmond Hill.
Okay, thank you. So, how many snowplows does the city own? And are there different types of snowplows?
There are a number of different types of snowplows. So the city has quite an extensive equipment that is overseen to clear the snow. So we have 10 road plows that the city owns, approximately 25 sidewalk plows, 35 windrow machines. We have four big snow blowers. And then we also have these light duty trucks, 32 of these light duty trucks. Typically, it's almost like a pickup truck with a plow on the front. And then we have a contractor who also has a number of equipment. So the contractor has 18 road plows for us as well. And then there's 10 backhoes that are used for clearing sort of the wide bends and the courts. and this is all provided with our contractors. So quite a significant amount of equipment that the city mobilizes during a snowstorm.
Okay. No, interesting. Okay. And how many kilometers of roads does the city have to plow?
So we use lane kilometers as it's sort of a definition. It's
Okay.
1,100 lane kilometers throughout the city that we plow. We also have 750 kilometers of sidewalks that we also plow throughout the whole city.
Whoa, that that sounds like a lot. Okay. So I realize that many of the streets in Richmond Hill
Yeah.
are actually regional roads, and you don't clean them, the region of York does. So how do you coordinate that?
So the region is responsible for roads such as Bathurst, Bayview, Elgin Mills, to name a few. They do their roads, we do ours. There's real no coordination at that point in time between the city and the region. We're self dependent on those. However, if the region does come back and does a cleanup on some of these bigger streets again after we've done, our sidewalks, for example, they'll notify us and be in contact with us. So if they're cleaning up, tidying up Bayview, and they know they're going to be pushing some more snow onto the boulevard or near the sidewalk, they'll let us know so that we can attend to those sidewalks.
Okay, that's good to know. Yeah. Okay, let's hope you're not too busy and not too much snow to do because it sounds like a lot of work. Okay, is there special training to operate a snowplow?
There's actually a lot of special training both for all the pieces of equipment, not just the snow plows, but any of the windrow machines or the sidewalk machines. Operators are have a significant amount of training that starts early on in the season, sometime in the summer. It'll oversee some snow and ice control measures, how to inspect and calibrate the equipment that they're operating, obviously safe operating procedures as well. They also need to learn a little bit of interpreting weather forecasts, right? That's part of their function. And after all this training, there's a dry run, what we call a dry run, where the operators actually get into their pieces of equipment and drive their routes, get familiar with their routes prior to the winter season. So once this, season arrives, everybody's gone through their routes, everybody knows all the little quirks and little trade tricks to plowing their areas. And for the big snow plows, you definitely need to have a DZ license. These are big pieces of equipment that need specialized licenses to drive them.
Okay, so it's possible we'd see a snowplow in October just so for training purposes?
That is correct. You may see October, early November, you would see some plows driving the routes. You would see some windrow machines driving their routes. Everybody getting familiar as they train.
Okay. Okay. Uh, I watch who's driving the snowplow. Rarely do I see a female. Are there any female snowplow drivers?
We have quite a few female drivers. We've got both male and female drivers are very, very well competent to operate the snowplows.
Okay.
It's nice to see.
I wasn't questioning competence, but it just seems like there haven't been any snow females. You're saying I'm wrong. I better look closer. Okay. They're all bundled up. I can't see them. Okay. Uh, now, is there snow
Yeah,
plowing throughout the night? Like
yeah.
at 2 o'clock in the morning, are some of these people out there snow plowing?
Yeah, they are. I mean, as soon as that snow starts to come down, as soon as the roads start to get slippery, we mobilize and have the plows out. They could be out through the night, and they will continuously clear and salt the roads, making it safe and passable. If there's plowing and the windrows have to get done, they'll definitely be out there doing the windrows. We also do our city's facilities, our parking lots, cover all that as well. And operators will work approximately 13 hours before another shift comes in.
Ooh, that is a long shift. So, okay. Hope they have some coffee. Okay. So, as well as cleaning the snow, there's often sand and salt is put on the roads. Is it sand or is it salt, a mixture? And what is the weather conditions to have that put on the road?
We don't use a salt sand mix any longer. We strictly go with the salt. And usually, let's take two components. One is pre the storm arriving, we use a liquid brine, which will go onto a road and it'll kind of dry up on the road. And what that helps with is as soon as that snow starts to fall, those flakes start to fall, it will activate with that brine and it'll start to melt. So that's the initial contact that we do. We typically do a lot of the bridges and steep roads throughout the city. And then once the snow starts to come down, then we apply salt. Straight salt, we don't have a mix of salt and sand any longer here at the city.
Okay. Um, 10 years ago, I may not have known the word windrow. Can you define windrow?
So windrow's that little pile of snow that's left sort of at the bottom of your driveway after the snow plow has cleared the road. So similar to if you grabbed a shovel, let's say, and you were shoveling your snow in your driveway, and when you push that snow in front of that shovel, that snow that would fall to the sides of the shovel, that would form sort of that windrow. And as obviously as the plow goes down the street, quite a significant amount of snow is being pushed over to the right-hand side, and what's left is that snow windrow at the bottom of your driveway.
Okay, so I'll think of my snow shovel and what I've tried to push too much, that's the windrow. Okay, got that. So, okay, so what is the city's policy for windrow removal?
So the city removes approximately 15,000 residential driveways. So it removes windrow from 50,000 residential driveways. And we clear 1 car width at the end of the driveway so that allows a resident to pull out from their driveway out onto the road. Windrow clearing takes place at approximately 2 hours after the plow uh, starts to go down the road. So after plow clearing, the windrow then begins about 2 hours left. The windrow staff will continue to work up to approximately 13 hours, and usually it takes about 13 hours to complete the windrow program. So just very clear, and then I need to specify it's really just up, you kind of opening up about 1 car width of your driveway. So if you have, 3 car width driveway, at least 1 car width is what we're aiming for, and then the resident is responsible to remove the rest of the windrow.
Okay, so the purpose really is to make sure a car can get out of the driveway. So,
Every year before the winter season, residents have an option to opt out. There is an application on our website that the city Richmond Hill website. You can apply for it, and the deadline is November 15th. And once we received all the applicants that want the windrow service not provided, we go out and we put a marker on their driveway, and that tells the windrow operator not to do that driveway. And once the season is over, we go back and remove those markers. So it allows people who choose not to be part of the windrow program for whatever reason to identify their driveway as not being one to be done.
okay. Have many people done that?
We have a few. We have a few.
Okay.
There's quite a few number of people for whatever reason that opt out to the windrow program.
Okay. Uh, is there any assistance for seniors for clearing the driveways?
No, unfortunately, no. There is no program that would allow us to do any work on private property for seniors.
Okay. Okay. Now, is it possible to see where the snowplow is? I believe there's a Track My Plow and Track My Windrow app. Can you explain that?
Yeah, we do have an app that's Track My Plow. It's available to residents so that they can see their neighborhood and see where the plows and the equipment are working. There is a brief delay on this, but it'll show where the plows have been. But it generally gives an idea to the resident of where that plow is heading. Right, you start seeing some of your neighborhood streets being done, you know that it's close to achieving your street as well.
Okay, so it can help you decide should I wait to go out or clear the end of the driveway. Okay.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. Yeah, if the plow hasn't gone, and we need to make sure understand that the plows usually go down one street first before they come around the next one. So give it some time, and we'll be there. We'll be
Okay,
there.
very good. Patience. Now, do the residents have some responsibility for snow clearing? We need to get our cars off the street. What are the rules?
Yes, absolutely. So one of the biggest challenges that we have is ensuring the efficiency of getting the roads plowed, right? The faster we can get the roads cleared. Uh, Cars parked on the street do hamper that, right? These big plows can't get past parked cars. They have to slow down. They have to stop. They have to back up. Unfortunately, we'd have to call in our bylaw parking enforcement to get handle tickets. So really what we're looking for is once that snow starts to come down, if residents can get their vehicles off the road into their driveways would be ideal. And if they're shoveling snow, don't push the snow back onto the road after we've gone through it. Just kind of pile it out. If everybody gets together and kind of piles out snow in the boulevard, it would make a lot safer for everyone to get around our streets.
Yeah, I have seen too many cars parked on the street, and it does cause definitely an issue. And also for the sidewalks as well, cars will be parked backing onto the
Yeah,
sidewalk, and yeah.
yeah, absolutely. That's right. Like so any cars that are backed onto, to the edge of that sidewalk, even though it seems safe that you can walk by, when an operator's driving, the sidewalk machine, he's going to be very cautious coming up to that car. A little bit of a slip and it, can damage a vehicle. So we really want that buffer. A big buffer around the car so that the sidewalk machine can go down the street clearly and residents can, push all that snow that's remaining onto their front lawns, onto the boulevards. Keeping in mind, if you have a hydrant, you want to keep that hydrant clear as well. So, help that fire department achieve what they need to do when they get there to access that hydrant. So if you can actually clear some of that snow around that hydrant, that would be ideal as well.
Okay, that's good advice. I'm talking about clearing things. How about the drainage basins? Like, should we think about that?
The catch basin is also a good idea, Margin. That really should start a bit sooner too, before the winter actually arrives, making sure that the leaves and the debris is kind of removed off those catch basins. Because once that snow piles up, once it gets pushed to the curb, once it starts to freeze, if you can keep that catch basin clear, it helps, avoid any flooding that occurs on the street. And if residents haven't, if they can clear it themselves, fine. If not, they could always reach out to us and we'll gladly come out and make sure that those catch basins are all clear to avoid any flooding that occurs on the roads.
Yeah, I have one. I live near the end of the street, so I'm always clearing it because I don't want ice at the end of my driveway. So, yeah,
Yes.
I'm very aware of it. Okay, what's the policy for putting out your garbage and recycling bins when there's been this big snowfall?
Yeah, that's always a great challenge for sometimes we really want residents to push their garbage bins back onto their property, not onto the road. I know usually sometimes there's a lot of that windrow snow piled up on the sides, but if they can push those garbage bins containers back onto their driveway to the right-hand side. So if you're facing your house, the garbage bins would go on the right-hand side of the driveway, and that helps us to, come along, plow the streets freely, push that snow back, get the windrow machines in there, clear that windrow, and it would avoid us hitting any of the recycling bins or garbage bins that people may put out.
Okay, very good advice. Thank you. Now, are there specific routes for snowplows? Like, do you rotate? Am I always the last, or is it because I live on a small street? What happens there?
Yeah, so for efficiency purposes, we start plowing always at one point and we end at the end. So primaries, the big streets first. When I say primaries, we're talking like Newkirk, High Tech, Brantry. These streets are the main ones that get done primarily first. From there, we move on to our secondaries, Crescents, those little side streets that you have. And unfortunately, you live on the court, you're going to be one of the few that are going to get last services.
Okay. Now, do you prioritize where there's schools, where there's lots of seniors?
No, we don't prioritize. To be efficient,
Okay.
we start at point A, we end at point B. And we hug the road to the right, always to the right. So it's very efficient. We start one street, we make a right. It doesn't By doing these right-hand turns, it avoids leaving this big windrow in the middle of the intersection. So we're coming up one street, we make a right, we get to the end of the next street, we make a right. That's why sometimes we say to people, you might see the plow go down your street and not see it for an hour or two later because they're being very efficient throughout the whole system. And once they come back, then we know that that road is clear and we don't have to go back.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Let's talk about clearing the sidewalks. First, what is that little truck called? It reminds me of the tuk-tuks I've seen in China or Central
Yeah,
America. And how
yeah.
do they get like, are they dropped off? I don't think they drive from the operations center.
Yeah, well, a lot of them get driven from the operation center. We do have some of these. We call them trackless. That's their brand name. It's called trackless. They're
Trackless. Okay.
very, yeah, they're very very unique, very heavy duty vehicles to push snow. We do have a north operation center where we park a few vehicles up in the Oak Ridges area, but majority of them come out of the operation center. So they once they leave here, they go off to their routes and they do their work.
Okay. So just now, Are they heated? Like I'm thinking the poor guy in there. Does he suffer?
Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't suffer. They are heated, and they keep him warm. And I mean, these staff are in these for a very long time, right? We're talking 13 hours in an operation, so we want to make sure that they are comfortable while they're performing their work.
Okay, very good. Okay. Um, so what are the policies for sidewalk clearing? For sidewalks, are there priorities given to around schools for?
No, priority is the same, similar to what does roads. We know we do the primary sidewalks, the perimeters, really the big streets around there. We're responsible for the sidewalks on the regional roads, so we take care of those, and then we go into our secondaries, which a lot of the secondary already have the schools. The challenges, though, same thing. We talked about this earlier. It's those cars that are backed up very close to the sidewalks, some encroachments, people, putting planters and stuff right up to the edge of the sidewalk. Those do cause a little bit of pain and a little bit of delays, I guess, best way of saying it, to the clearing of the sidewalks.
Okay. Uh, I have lots of questions. I'm almost
Yeah,
done here with
absolutely.
these.
It's
Okay.
okay. Yeah.
I know the region sometimes will take away big piles of snow, if there's been a real lot of snow. Uh, does the city sometimes need to do that? And where is the snow truck to?
Yeah, so the city actually does move a lot of snow out of the way. So we, one fall, two snowfalls, third snowfall, usually the cords, the wide bands, these have started to accumulate. So if you live on a cord, you'll sort of see the snow start piling up in the center. And at some point it becomes unsafe and we have to haul it away. The downtown core as well on Yonge Street, we do haul away snow. So there's a variety of locations where the snow cannot accumulate and doesn't have enough time to melt before the next snowfall. So we haul the snow. Bridges, decks, we also haul snow so it's safe for people to walk over these bridges. All that snow comes back to just north of the operation center, Richmond Green Skate Park. We have a big snow dump here. The snow gets piled up here and then it just melts away into the springtime.
Okay, so that's where it goes. Okay.
That's
So
right.
I have not seen it. Okay. Okay, I've asked you lots of questions, but is there anything else that you'd like to add?
Well, I think one of the best things is for if residents want to know about what's happening in our winter events is to go onto our website. The city's website provides a lot of information for residents. It speaks to when they're allowed to park on the street, when it's not allowed to park. They can follow our Twitter account at My Richmond Hill and get some updates, or winter, even subscribing to our webpage, and they'll know everything that's happening when we declare a winter event, when we're out plowing, when we end the plowing. It provides a lot of information for residents. That's what I would sort of add to it, and I'm sure you probably have it added to your podcast. All the
Hmm.
links for the
Yeah.
city's website,
Yeah.
absolutely. And
Yeah,
if
I
residents
do.
have any questions after this, or they have any other questions that we didn't probably answer here today, Marge, they could reach out to the city, and we'll be gladly answer them.
Okay, well, thank you for answering all my questions. I really appreciated this, and I think the audience will too, because I get asked lots of questions. It's a common conversation is, what's with these snow plows and when are they going to plow the snow? So now we know. So again, thank you, Diogo. I hope we don't have too much snow for you to plow, but yeah, so again, thank you for taking the time to do this. Thank you for listening. I would very much appreciate you sharing this podcast. Please tune in next week as we continue to explore the community. Consider emailing me at marj, M-A-R-J, at marjandre.com. I welcome suggestions for podcast guests. Stay well, stay connected.